everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, or you might know me as Kimchi on stage. I am currently, a little bit sleep deprived this week. At the time of recording, I've been working at the club all week, but I am up early to get this fun, packed interview on taxes on this really freaking cool new startup called Pypr. I'll be interviewing its founder, Paige, who I'll be introducing in just a few minutes. But if you're brand new here, welcome to the show. I am a dancer, as I just mentioned. I've also been a sugar baby a long time ago, and I am also a digital content creator. So, of course, as sex workers, we dabble in a lot of different things and try to find the right fit and stuff. So I've been around for the past 8 years, and I started this show a few years ago because I think it's really important to tell sex worker stories, humanize them, share their experiences, and destigmatize our work because it is important work that we are doing and it needs to be legitimized. So that's just a little bit about me. Every week, we bring on a new guest, including Paige, as I just mentioned just now, who we'll be getting into that just shortly. I just want to shout out a few of our brand new subscribers on Patreon. So Arip Sarkar, we have Justin Erickson, Jay Sunstern, and brand new Stefan Checks. Thank you so much for subscribing. They're on our top tier on Patreon, which you can actually view the video of this particular interview and also all the ones from season 4. So be sure to subscribe on that. Links in the show notes below. And that's enough of me talking about me and promoting shit. So I am very if you're hearing some giggles in the background, that is from none other the beautiful founder of Pypr, which is you're not so typical accountant because hey, it is tax season right now. It's tax season, and if you haven't filed your taxes yet, including myself, I have not done that yet. We still have a little bit of time to go, so I'd just like to interview and introduce Paige from Pypr, our founder of Pypr. And sex workers listening, you might want to listen to this. So, Paige, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on.
So excited to have you. Thank you so much. I know you're 1 hour ahead of time here. Thank you so much for your time. Cannot wait to get into this whole
I'm
episode.
so excited. Yeah,
So
thank
excited to
you.
have you. I feel like I said a little bit about you. I'm definitely going to be getting to know you during the episode. But would you like to give the audience a brief rundown on who you are and what it is that you do? And of course, we're going to get into the details of Pypr, but feel free to introduce yourself to the audience. Say hi.
Yeah, hi guys. My name's Paige. I currently live between Toronto and Calgary, but I'm from Toronto. I moved here just before the pandemic, so right in time to make no friends.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's been amazing. I love it here. And I just launched Pypr, which is not your typical accountant, for the modern day creator. And we just launched just over a month ago. It's been about 6 months actively working on it with developers, designers, the whole spiel. But it first came to me actually last tax season.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, congratulations on the launch. I am so excited and love hearing of all these new emerging women led startups. So huge congratulations. And what I think you're doing for the industry is awesome because it's so freaking hard to find a good accountant.
Yes,
It's so
yes.
hard. Yeah, I mean, it's it's one, it's hard because of our profession, what we do. It's a highly stigmatized thing, and also it's just, I mean, overwhelming.
Totally, totally. It is not easy. And the reality is, no one teaches you about finances in school.
No.
And, society relies on your parents to teach you this or how to pay taxes or how to build credit and all that stuff. But a lot of our parents don't have the tools to teach their children. I know my parents didn't, so I had to learn, the hard way. So I think it's really important to have a resource. And TurboTax and all these other tax services are great, but for people that need a bit of hand holding, like myself, and constant communication and transparency, Pypr is the one for you.
So excited. We're going to get into that really, really quickly. Gosh, yeah. So like anyone listening, if you need taxes done, you're going to have to listen really, really carefully on this because yeah, I mean, like it's just tax season. It rolls around this time of year. People get overwhelmed. People don't know where to start, and like some people haven't done their taxes and stuff too. And like, there's a lot of shame and stigma around that, which is unnecessary. There's no, there doesn't have to be any shame around that as all at all. But like, where can you get started? And like, I mean, you yourself had trouble finding a good accountant. You said last year,
Yeah.
so
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. So I guess I'll get into a bit of like how Pypr started and I guess kind of tips and tricks to get people organized.
Sure.
So I actually had an unfortunate event. I had an accountant become very unprofessional with me.
Oh no.
Actually came on to me. And, when I rejected that, obviously I was humiliated, mortified, disgusted, everything. But when I rejected that, I received a bill of an extra $4,000.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah. So I have a corporation, sorry. And usually I'm very transparent. So usually every year I pay about 3,000 to
Mhm.
get everything together, whatever. Why was it this year? It was 7,000.
Yeah, seriously, that
So
like took
yeah, so
revenge on you.
that was very difficult. Obviously, I did not pay it, which is like so unlike me because I'm like, okay, yeah, of course. But I stood my ground. I was like, I'll pay you for the work that you've done, but this added $4,000 that he couldn't justify. Like I asked for certain dates and times of when I'm getting billed, what I'm getting billed for. Couldn't come up with a legit sheet
Of
for
course.
that.
Of course.
Yeah, so Pypr, I was like, wow, this is such a shitty situation.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to want to go through this. And as I actually started talking with more and more accountants, and I had this idea come to me in the shower, like Pypr,
Mhm.
where everyone's best ideas come in the shower alone.
Always.
And yeah, and then I started, thinking about Pypr, the direction I wanted to go with it, and all that stuff. And then I started calling different accountants and finding out, have you ever filed for a dancer? Have you ever filed for an OnlyFans creator? Have you ever filed for, content creators? All these things. And I remember this one conversation I had with this person. I'm not even going to call him a gentleman. This
Uh-oh.
person, in Barry, and I was like, have you ever filed for content creators? Do you know what Instagram is? Do you know what YouTube is? Do you know what OnlyFans is? Have you ever filed for adult entertainers or dancers? And as soon as I brought like a sex work aspect to it, he's like, well, no, I haven't, but I'd be comfortable and I can probably just trade services. And my jaw dropped on the phone. And I'm like, how can you be so cool and comfortable? Like, just saying that, whether you meant it as a joke, whether you didn't, whether you're serious, like, we have a problem
That's
because
disgusting.
it's so gross. And you think about it and you think about, the amount of power, and nobody talks about this, that accountants do have
Oh,
over
yeah,
your finances, right?
totally.
They do have that power. And when you're maybe young, or you don't really know how to file your taxes, or you don't know how it works, you kind of just go with whatever they say because
Yeah,
they're
it's
the
so
professional,
true.
right? That's why you hire a professional.
Exactly.
So, but I started finding that, yeah, there's a lot of unprofessional professionals out there. And um, actually, just last month, I had a conversation with a CPA in Vancouver who was
Mhm.
telling me these horror stories about how, like, clients have told her this, that other accountants have told the clients, Don't even bother about looking at the books. Like, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to understand your spreadsheet for your business. So why are you even bothering with that? Like, you have no idea. And straight up say that to the client.
Oh my
I
God.
was like, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
audacity.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I can't even imagine ever saying that to a client, you know? So
No.
I mean, I really built Pypr with the intention of educating.
Right.
That's where, my passion lies, is just educating people about finances, how to reach their goals, that kind of thing. And after talking to a lot of accountants, unfortunately, and as one of my Pypr partners, my CPAs, have told me in New York, she said, Paige, a lot of the older CPAs, they don't want to deal with crypto. They don't want to deal with OnlyFans. They don't want to deal with YouTube. They don't even want to deal with Shopify because it's a whole different system. So they're not really willing to get with the times.
Yeah. No kidding.
So yeah,
Oh my gosh. That's so shocking to me. Like,
it's really crazy. You either jump on board or you're left behind.
yeah. I mean, I feel just like finances and like financial services and institutions, they're pretty old school in general. And like a lot of it is like old boys club and that
Totally.
kind of perspective. You know what I mean?
Totally. And they don't, and when also they don't understand the modern day hustle. They don't understand why people don't want to do a 9 to 5. They don't understand freelance. They don't understand really entrepreneurship. um, they don't understand OnlyFans or creators. And I mean, everything is a business in itself. Like, you're an OnlyFans creator, you're still a business owner, you're still an entrepreneur. If you're a YouTuber, you're still an entrepreneur, you're still a business owner. And it's not viewed like that, unfortunately.
Right. I feel like a lot of I'm just saying from my experience too. Some accountants that I know are just used to, the typical person working a civ job and they just submit their 1T4 and it's just like it's very simple,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
easy. I mean, you're just plugging and playing numbers, right? But like when it comes to independent contracting and freelancing and multiple income streams, that's where I think it can get a bit more complicated, like overwhelming for myself to do my own taxes, and that's why I seek out an accountant. But maybe they're just lazy or just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and I actually, that's a part of, so all of the Pypr partners, which are CPAs, which are accountants, they actually go through, I put them through an ethics and sensitivity training to deal with people that are creators, people that are like cam models,
Mhm.
dancers, different industries. And I actually list in there saying, be aware, income is going to come from different streams, whether that's PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, wire transfers. They buy a house, which happens, creators are gifted, or anybody is gifted a house or a business or businesses. So I'm like, please be aware, when you are asking the client about the income and you know, ask, is it all the income streams? Ask specifically, what about PayPal? Did you receive anything from PayPal? Did you receive anything from Cash App or Venmo? And really account for that.
Wow. Yeah, that's really, really important because then going back to your own personal experience and my own personal experience too, and I'm sure a lot of others too, like trust is a huge thing with accountants because,
Totally.
as you mentioned, they control a lot. And I think it's really important to build that trust. And I'm curious to see like how are you sourcing these CPAs? How do you like I know we mentioned off the air like you have a specific vetting process, which I'm really,
Mhm.
really curious about hearing. Do you mind going into that and elaborating?
Yeah. So as of right now, I have a team of about 15 to 20.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
Congrats.
amazing.
That's
You know,
huge.
yeah, I mean, Pypr started with an idea, so it's been amazing watching it grow and like going through the growing pains and really making it come to life. But I handpick all the CPAs. So sometimes I've done job postings, sometimes it's been referral, sometimes it's been Facebook groups for accountants. So
Oh,
everybody has
wow.
kind of applied. I put them through about 2 rounds of interviews.
Hmm.
I interview them myself. I also do a background check. I also kind of do my thing on social media, see if they're all active on there. And then if I deem that they're the right fit and their values are the same as ours, then I onboard them and then I put them through the ethics and sensitivity training package, which basically, I mean, there's a few different aspects to it, but like for example, in that package, it's like, don't refer to clients as porn stars. Maybe refer them as cam models. See what terms they like to use for themselves. Go based off of that. Some people don't mind being called a stripper, but some people want to be called a dancer. Some people want to be called an exotic dancer. So be aware of what terms you use, as well as pronouns, she, he, they, them, that kind of thing, as well as I'm trying to think here. And then in that sensitivity, there's also, again, like we talked about, just highlighting different income sources. I highlight in there different sites that they
Right.
might be using, different aspects of their life, how they're feeling already vulnerable. So
Yeah.
be patient, take your time, educate. Education is the foundation of Pypr. And then I literally leave off on that package with don't be an asshole.
That's true. And
I
that's
mean,
important.
so and then once the accountant or the professional, because we do have lawyers on
Hmm.
board as well, is reviewed or is finished with their services with the client, and then the client actually is reviews them. I reach out to the client, say, how's your experience with so and so? They rate out of 5 stars. You need to keep at least 4 stars to be on the.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh my
No
God.
mediocrity. Like,
No, no. Oh my gosh, Paige, this sounds amazing. Like it really
thank you.
demonstrates to me that you've really thought about everything. Like you're really looking at the big picture here. And it really like it shows. It really shows how much care you put into this. I'm
It's like
I'm
my
also
little passion project, and it's just something I'm very passionate about.
it definitely shows. So like I'm so excited to hear this. And I'm also really interested because you're also mentioning when you are sourcing and finding Pypr partners,
Yeah.
you wanted them to be in line with Piper's values. And I'm curious to hear more about that. Like what are Piper's values?
Yeah. So, I mean, education, like I've said, is the first and foremost. Transparency, respect, um, and really just walking through the client through their finances, as well as autonomy. And that's pretty much like Piper's values, just trust, transparency,
Yeah, they're all
and
great things.
understanding the client's very vulnerable state. I mean, with the
Yes.
stigma, whether I mean they're a freelancer or maybe they're a sex worker, just stigma in general, stigma from not filing taxes, stigma from being late with your taxes, stigma from sex work.
Yes.
I mean, there's judgment all around, and we are a totally judgment free company. We don't care about your hustle. We just care about your finances, your goals, and making sure that you have what you need to pay your taxes.
I love that. I love that because, like, as you mentioned, you're like, oh, yeah, they might refer themselves as a dancer or, a stripper, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not a one size fits all approach, and it can't be. So,
Exactly. And taxes can't be either
no,
in
no.
general, right? So when people are like, oh, like, well, how about this or how about that? Or what about bookkeeping for this? I say, there is no one size fits all here. We work with you to figure out what works for you.
Totally. I mean, and in terms of like what works for you, I know that there are different tax packages that Pypr offers. I'd love for you to go into that if you wanted to speak a little about that.
Yeah, sure. So we actually just added a 30-minute consult,
Oh, sweet.
which has been a in-demand option for people that want a bit of clarity before committing to a package. We
Mm-hmm.
have our Pypr Express, which is our $4.99 package, and that's basically just a very simple filing. That's primarily one income stream. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not many investments, not like multiple houses and stuff like that. And then we get into the Pypr Pro, which is more extensive. That covers more corporations, S
Right.
corps, like that's for the US,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little more complicated. And then we also offer bookkeeping.
Oh, okay. There we
And we'll
go.
be adding a few other services like legal professionals. I mean, I have a few
Wow.
amazing lawyers on the team, and we'll be adding a few options with that very soon.
Oh my gosh, you just wow. You're just
Yeah.
I'm sure by the time this episode airs, you probably have would have launched something else or another service too, which is awesome. You're just like continuing on this hustle, which I think is great. It's so excellent. Can you I know you I think you briefly mentioned it, but can you elaborate like what are the costs on these packages and like how do you match someone up? I mean, like it just depends on what their income is, I guess. If I'm understanding
Yeah, so
correctly.
we've kind of given, and I just want to say, we are not the cheapest. We are absolutely not the cheapest on the market. TurboTax is out there for $29.99, and that's totally fine. But we are more of like a available 24/7. We have Pypr reps. And basically, those are kind of like customer service reps. They're available 24/7. You have any questions, we answer it. We really want to do like a more curated hand holding process.
Right.
So that's why our prices are the way they are. We're doing $4.99 for Pypr Express, which is your personal tax return, or in the States, it's an LLC. The Pypr Pro, which is more extensive, that's an S corp or a corporation in Canada. That's 1,500, and your Pypr Partner for bookkeeping is $300 a month. And then our 30-minute consultation is 45.
Mhm. Okay. I mean, I think it's all fair though, because like this is a niche service and you're catering to not only sex workers, but creators,
Mhm.
entertainers, and I think it's you're casting a good wide net, but also very specific too. And we're cutting the bullshit as well of having
Yeah, yeah,
to source a good, worthy, judgment-free accountant. So people listening have to understand that as well. Like it's not like again, even the way that you were connecting your own business page, it's not like a one size fits all too in that approach as well.
right.
So yeah.
Exactly. So we kind of done just kind of general pricing based on the market. And again,
Mhm.
all of our Piper partners are CPAs. So they are the highest level of accountant that you can have. They're very versed in all different industries, but specifically this industry that Piper focuses on, which is content creation, modern day money making, that kind of thing, not the traditional 9 to 5. So they're very versed on write offs with that, what's going to work, what's not going to work. So I personally, and I've had a lot of conversations, is it's the you never want to mess up your finances with the CRA or the
No.
IRS. Like that is just something you
No.
do not want to do, and that is very scary. As soon as you get, it makes you nervous when you get an audit, a notice of needing
Yes.
to be audited, or
Yeah.
any of those things, right? Like there is anxiety that is inflicted there. So we always say seeking a professional.
Right. It's just really, really smart. You want to get it right the first time because I
The
actually just
first
had a
time.
friend. Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, hopefully the only time you have to file your taxes, but like I literally had a friend she's not in the industry, but she got selected for an audit because then she's in sales, and sales is kind of similar to independent contracting too. Like you run out like your own business, and she got audited, and she's just going through hell right now.
Really?
So
Oh
yeah, you just
no.
it sounds horrible, and I would just say everyone would like to, try to avoid that like the plague.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. You don't want anyone to notice.
no, no. Going back on something that you said too, I know we haven't gone over this yet, but you mentioned you have CPAs both in Canada and the States. Is this who are you are servicing?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so when we first launched, I wanted it to first launch in Canada and the US. And actually, we have more clients in the US than Canada, which is
What?
surprising because we're a Canadian
Yeah.
based company. Yeah, which is amazing. I don't know if it's more people. Like, I don't know what the factor is. So yeah, it's been amazing. A lot of clients in the US, and then which is cool seeing because it's like, oh, so and so from Tennessee, so and so from Kentucky, so and all these places I just like never really just
Yeah.
envisioned, I guess, for Pypr. Like, I don't know, I just
Yeah.
launched it, right? Like, so I'm like thinking, oh, New York or
Yes.
California. And I was just seeing like all the states really. But my goal for next year is to definitely launch in the UK. We've gotten a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of love from
Yeah.
the UK and wanting our services there. And then
Yeah.
hopefully
Oh my God. Take
global.
over the world.
That's
That's so
the
cool. I mean, like, I
goal.
guess like your challenge would be trying to source CPAs from each country or region and stuff too, and trying to find people that can do the job correctly. But I mean, it sounds like you've got your vetting process like down packed. It sounds like it's freaking flourishing and thriving right now. So
Yeah,
so happy to
yeah,
hear that.
it's been great.
I know you were mentioning too, like, do you ever say no to clients, or like is there ever a time when it's not a right fit? You ever encountered that?
Yes, absolutely. I myself am very transparent and I put that into Pypr completely. And I want to be transparent when we know that we can't fill a need for somebody. I actually had someone reach out a couple days ago, and I mean, the person's finances are amazing, but multiple corporations, investment properties, a lot of
Right.
complicated things. Stuff in New York, stuff in
Wow.
California, stuff kind of all over the place. And I was transparent. I said, we just launched. I would love to help you, but I don't think that we're the right
Mhm.
fit. And I think you will get more value from a bigger name like
Mhm.
KPMG, which is more versed in
Right.
corporate stuff.
Right.
So I never want to take on a client that I know that
Right.
I can't help, because that doesn't do anyone any
No.
good. You know what
No.
I mean? I want them to be happy. I want them to be happy with our service, and I'm just honest when we can't help them, and I don't think that there's any shame. And I know there's a lot of business owners that are like, oh, just take the business, just take
Yeah.
the business, but that's not what Pypr
No.
is.
No. That's so good to hear too, because sometimes people just see dollar signs and they're like, "Oh, we'll just take it and it's money." But if you're not gonna deliver.
Figure it out. But yeah, and the reality is with this business, you can't just figure it out. You're dealing with people's finances, you're dealing with their personal
Yes.
lives. There's so much on the line, and I don't want to mess any of that
No,
up.
because
So,
there's definitely potential to fuck things up,
mhm.
right?
Oh
And you don't wanna get
yeah.
involved. I mean, another aspect of this too, because I mean, every year I try to do an episode on taxes, but, do you offer services for illegal work? I know that's always a black and white area.
Yes. So, as of right now, we do not offer any services for full service sex
Mhm,
workers. And it's not because I don't want to. I want to put that
mhm,
out there. I am very pro sex
mhm.
work. I believe in it. I think it should be legalized. But at this time, as a business and growing globally, we can't do it.
Mhm.
We can't do it with the different countries with the
Right.
laws, because I want to be able to offer the same services to everybody across the
Right.
board. I don't think that there's one person that is better or more deserving or
Mhm.
something of the service, but I want to just make sure that we're equal across the board.
Totally.
So as of right now, we're not offering any services for full service sex workers, but I am speaking with lawyers in the US and in Canada about one day incorporating that
Mhm.
and one day being able to offer services. I just want to do our due diligence, and making sure we don't get anyone in trouble and making sure that we don't get ourselves in
Yes.
trouble. So we're taking our
Which
time.
I think is a smart approach too, because also like when you start a new business, it's always like the temptation of wanting to take everything on at the same time. But when you're dealing with two different countries at the moment and possibly taking on like a third, like that's a lot because there's so much different legislation and laws and policies around sex work and types of sex work too. So you got to be really, really careful with that. So I think you're doing a great thing. You're not saying no, but you're saying no right now,
I
but
hope in
maybe in
the
the
future.
future.
Yeah, I do hope in the future, because I do believe that it should be legalized. I am pro sex work. I
100%.
think everybody, it's not my business to tell somebody what they can and can't do.
Mhm.
We respect everyone's hustle. It's just at this moment.
Totally. No, that's totally fine. It's all good. I mean, let's switch let's shift over the conversation over in terms of like your philosophy on taxes and strategy. Um,
Sorry, can you repeat that? It cut
Oh,
out.
sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we can switch the conversation over to like your philosophy on taxes, your strategy, when you believe that people should start filing their taxes or at least thinking about their taxes, because a lot of times it's left to the last minute, and then we're scrambling and procrastinating. So yeah, I'd love to hear your input on that.
Yeah, I think everyone operates differently. I know for myself, I want to get ahead of the curve because I do struggle with focusing. I do struggle with like sitting down and focusing. So for me, I have found that I work better at night, and I work my best 6 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Oh my god,
And that's when I get my work done. Yeah, which is so wild. But I think it goes back to my flight attendant days when I was a flight attendant and I would work the red
there
eyes.
we go.
So, um, but yeah, I think you got to find out what works for you, and you can't let society dictate, oh, wake up at 7 a.m. and that's when you're going to be the most productive, and go for a walk and go for a hike, and you should be doing this, this, this. Like, no, everybody has their own rhythm. I think you start the earlier the better. So, depending on what you have, maybe you just have a T4, maybe you just have a sole proprietorship, maybe you have an LLC or a corporation. Just starting the earliest is better.
Mhm.
I know I started personally gathering all my information in November.
Wow.
Just but that's because I'm like crazy. Okay. Like I mean, that just works for me because I knew December was going to be a busy month, and then I knew January and just with launching. So I didn't want to launch a tax company and then also worry about my own taxes.
That
So,
makes sense.
um, yeah, so I just started like honestly just printing off my corporate bank statements and just going through it and highlighting and just kind of rectifying and writing down, what is this? What is this? What is this? And just slowly going over it, and I would do it at night, and I would do it maybe for an hour, and then 2 weeks later I'll do it for another
Yeah.
hour. And you just do it. It's much more manageable if you do it piece by piece.
Yeah.
So, like my grandmother says, she says, Paige, don't look at the full tree. Just take a branch by branch, and then it'll complete the tree. So yeah, I think just taking it piece by piece so you don't feel
Yes.
overwhelmed and just giving yourself extra time.
Right. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Like for me, I have like a spreadsheet that I keep adding to and building to and making
Smart,
notes.
yeah.
So, and that's like my own process of trying to keep myself organized as much as I can, having a folder on like my laptop of what's going to be dedicated to certain areas, what things I can write off. All of my multiple streams and like trying to stay on top of that as much as I can.
Yeah, but I mean that sounds great. And you have found a system that works for you. And I think everybody just has to find a system that works for them. It's not one size fits all, like we've talked about. Um, and everybody has to just kind of figure out what works for
Yeah,
them.
like I mean, this I don't know if you can answer this question, but is there a certain amount of money that we should set aside for our taxes in terms of like a percentage of our income or like because I've heard that as well from like my accountant friends. I'm like, how much?
Yeah.
How can you predict that?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna, say just for liability reasons, I am not a tax professional. I am not an accountant. I'm not a financial professional, but I have curated a team of wonderful professionals that can help you out and answer any questions. And anything that I answer related to finance is just based on personal experiences or my friends or what I've seen. Again, I encourage all the listeners to speak with a professional, whether that's a Pypr partner or whether it's somebody else, just to make sure that you're on the right track. I think, I mean, it ranges,
Mhm.
right? So going back to your question, so 30%,
I've heard that number too.
30%, it really ranges, but the more you put away, the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, just in case cuz
Right, just in case. Just
yeah.
in case. And if you put away too much, that's great.
Yeah.
You get yourself a nice gift at tax season.
There you go. Yeah, because I think, like, a lot of people get, like, shocked when they get their
Yeah.
return, and we just wanna try to reduce the amount of shock that goes through your system.
Yeah, it's always stressful around that
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
definitely. I mean, with that, like, I think it's time to move over onto a few Q&A that came in from the audience,
Yeah.
and we can chat about this. And I think a lot of people are probably wondering this as well, but a lot of work is tip based. Are we supposed to claim all of it or just a percentage?
Yeah. So by the CRA and IRS, okay, once again, I'm not a financial professional. I encourage that you seek a financial professional. But in the eyes of the CRA or the IRS, all money is income.
Right, right.
So claiming your tips is
Yes.
encouraged.
Yeah. And it's almost like a good benefit too to do that, especially if you have like bigger plans in terms of like, purchasing your first home or making a big purchase on a car or something that like requires a lot of money. Banks like to see that. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So it all depends on what your goals are for the future,
mhm.
whether you want to open up a business, whether you want to own a house or properties or a car, like you said. um, it's always better because, and I'll share a personal story quickly. I grew up in poverty, so I did not grow up with the financial literacy that we need in this
Yeah.
world. And so I thought the idea when at 18 years old, I thought the idea of success was owning your own house because
Mhm.
my parents never owned a
Right.
house. So I thought the way to financial freedom is real estate.
Mhm.
So I saved a bunch of money. I worked every single day serving and then flying when I was a flight attendant, and saved up a deposit for a house. And then, the professionals are like, no, Paige, it takes a lot more than just that.
Yeah.
That's just a piece of
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so that was like a big realization for me. And so that's why at Pypr we always focus on your goals. And we always ask, what are your financial goals?
Mhm.
and we kind of work backwards that way so we can set you
That's
up.
awesome. I love that because like you want to set people up for success because like it's important to know like what your goals are, where you want to go, where you want to put your money and stuff, and whether it's buying a new purse or buying a home or something else, whatever it is, a trip that you want to save for. It's important to do that. And I think this person, they were a server too, so I know in serving like I think standard was like saving 15% or claiming 15%, but I guess it doesn't work exactly the same way here. It's advised to claim more rather than less, right? So, yeah, that's a good thing. So, take note, listener. This one's, I guess, maybe similar, maybe a different stroke, but this person is asking, what about donations from sugar daddies? Do we need to claim this as income?
So this is a very gray area,
Yes.
because in Canada, and in the US, there is a cap. I can't quite remember what it is. Maybe it's 15,000. Don't quote me on it. There's a cap of
Mm.
gifts, and then the sender actually starts getting taxed for it.
Oh,
Where in Canada, nobody gets taxed for sending a
right.
gift. So, and as of right now, that I'm aware, there's no limit.
Hmm.
It's a very gray
Yes,
area. So to be honest, I'm not too sure how to answer that.
that's okay. I
I'll
feel
just leave it as it is.
no, I think you are hitting the nail on the head here too. But like again, don't quote me on this either because
Yeah.
I haven't been a sugar daddy. I haven't been a sugar baby. I'm never gonna be a sugar daddy, guys. Sorry for
Maybe one day. Maybe
You'll be
one
a sugar
day.
mama. It's been like quite a number of years since I've been a sugar baby, but I remember talking to some of my fellow sugar babies asking about a similar question on this too. And because I am based in Canada, it was kind of the same thing as well. That I heard there wasn't anyone getting taxed on that. So, but again, don't quote me on that because I'm not exactly sure if that's accurate. I'll have to bring someone on to speak to that. I'll have to have a sugar baby episode or something. So I'm really sorry. The last one here is I started an OnlyFans last year. How do we do our taxes on this particular income?
Yeah, so with OnlyFans, obviously it's huge. It boomed during the pandemic, which is amazing. So in Canada, depending on the income, so it depends. Maybe you do this full time, maybe you do this on the side, maybe you're a nurse and you do this on the side, whatever your business is. We do recommend a proprietorship. Sorry,
That's
sole
mhm,
proprietorship. You can do a corporation as well. You basically have to convert because the OnlyFans money is in US dollars and it's hitting your account in
mhm.
Canadian. You need to make sure that you count for all Canadian dollars.
Okay.
And we have a few tips about this on our resources, on our Pypr pointers,
Oh,
on our website. Yeah, so we have some free resources
amazing.
there. And then with a sole proprietorship, you can go through with deductions, i.e., your equipment. So if you want to say your phone or webcam,
Mhm.
lighting, like ring
Yes.
light, toys. Maybe you're not an adult OnlyFans creator. That's okay. Maybe bikinis,
Mhm.
outfits, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's kind of like a high level of doing it.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's really, really great too. Cause, a lot of people hopped on OnlyFans within the past couple of years, and I think they're just confused because the money is in US dollars. But of course, when you withdraw, that money does go into whatever currency that you are residing in. So, whatever country you're residing in. So, you just have to claim that as such, I suppose. Am I getting that correctly?
So Canadian dollars,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I mean, with this, because there's so many sites out there, and there was like a whole thing with OnlyFans last year, as you might know, or maybe we might not know, but does this also apply to other fan sites too? So like Fansly, ManyVids, Just for Fans, stuff like that. Would it kind of be treated
Yeah,
the same?
yeah, it's to be treated the same. I have personally a lot of OnlyFans creator friends and cam girl friends, and all of them do have a sole proprietorship or a corporation. That helps a lot with the write-offs, as well as paying yourself, right? So if you do want to own that property, you need to be able to pay yourself. So it's putting yourself on payroll. And then maybe it's like the first year you pay yourself $3,000, and then the second year, a month, sorry, a month. The second year you pay yourself $5,000, and so on. So that is an important component, again, to your future goals.
Right. And I'm sorry, we didn't really go over this during the interview, but we can probably just ask it now. But what is the difference between sole proprietorship and a corporation for those listening?
So we actually put down definitions in point form on our website. I do encourage you to check that out under Pypr pointers for Canadian creators. A corporation is a lot more complicated.
I was going to say, sounds complicated.
A lot more expensive.
Right.
It's similarly the same. Again, I am not a financial professional, but I have a team of the right people. But a corporation is more complicated. The fees associated are more. And a corporation is treated as it's a whole different
entity. Okay, gotcha. Right.
It's a whole different, like it's separate to you. Does that make sense? Like it's kind of its own little island.
Yeah, for sure. So like for those who are listening, like, because I used to have a business a long time ago. I mean, I still have a business, but like I used to have like a cupcake business back in the day.
Oh, okay,
yeah, I mean, I chose to go with sole proprietorship, but some people will incorporate because if there's any like liability issues, you are not getting on the hook for that. Your company will be. They're treated, as you mentioned, as a separate entity. So.
Yes, exactly. So, and we do go through that on our free resource page on our website, www.hellopypr.com. And we go through the advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, since we're plugging links and stuff too. This is great. This is perfect. And that will be in the show notes, by the way, people. Where can we find you? And like, if you want to plug any handles, any particular resources, website, Twitter, where can we find you?
Yeah, so we are at Hello Pypr on everything. So Reddit, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. We're on Facebook. And our website is www.hellopypr.com.
Nice.
And yeah, that's kind of where you can find us. And if you have any questions, our DMs are always open. A rep will respond to you pretty quickly. And we also have a chat box on our website. If anybody has any questions, we're pretty fast with responding on there too.
Amazing. I'm going to be plugging all those links in the show notes below. So if you haven't clicked on any of those, be sure to like give them a follow, reach out if you have any questions. I think that 30-minute free consultation would be super, super helpful in determining what it is that you need for your particular, your particular business. So this has been so insightful, Paige. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really, really appreciate it. Everyone else listening, don't forget it's new episodes every single Sunday. It's Strip by Sia on Instagram, on Twitter. You could get at me at Sia Steph, which is my personal. And don't forget to like, rate, share, review, subscribe. And I'm still looking for some new patrons on Patreon because I give this podcast for free. So these are free resources. It's over 100 episodes. We got some bonus episodes coming out real soon on Patreon as well. Again, exclusive video content and all that fun stuff. So be sure to subscribe. It's patreon.com/stripbysia. And that is it for today. Thank you so much, Paige, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And everyone else listening, good luck on this tax season.
Yes, good luck. The dates are coming up.
They sure are. Thank you so much, Paige.
Thank you.
Bye. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabern.